October 2nd, 1941. The outskirts of Moscow, Wehrmacht Obergefreiter Klaus Richter pressed his eye to the scope of his Karabiner 98 KA and squeezed the trigger. The bolt-action rifle cracked once, sending a single 7.92mm round toward a Soviet position 400 meters away. One shot, one kill. Richter worked the bolt, ejecting the spent cartridge, and prepared for his next target. 300 meters to his left, Red Army Senior Sergeant Dmitry Volkov heard the distinctive crack of German rifle fire. Without hesitation, he raised his Tokarev SVT-40 semi-automatic rifle and unleashed 10 rounds in rapid succession toward the German position. The sustained fire forced an entire Wehrmacht squad to take cover while Volkov's comrades advanced through the smoke and chaos of urban combat. This moment captured the fundamental difference between two military philosophies that would determine the fate of the Eastern Front. The Germans possessed superior individual marksmanship and precision engineering. The Soviets had created something far more decisive in modern warfare: overwhelming firepower delivered by ordinary soldiers who could engage targets as fast as they could pull a trigger. What German military planners failed to understand in 1941 was that the age of the professional marksman was coming to an end. The future belonged to the conscript who could deliver sustained, accurate fire without the years of training required to master a bolt-action rifle. The weapon that would prove this theory was already in Soviet hands, though few recognized its revolutionary potential. The SVT-40 represented a fundamental shift in small arms philosophy that challenged everything that European militaries believed about infantry weapons. While German engineers perfected the mechanical precision of manually operated rifles, Soviet designers had solved the complex engineering problem of reliable semi-automatic operation under combat conditions that would destroy lesser weapons. The numbers tell a stark story of competing doctrines. By December 1941, the Wehrmacht had equipped its forces with over 2 million Karabiner 98K rifles. Each one a masterpiece of precision manufacturing that required 47 separate machining operations and 60 hours of skilled labor to complete. These rifles could place bullets within a 2-inch circle at 300 meters when fired by trained marksmen. The Red Army fielded 1.6 million SVT-40 rifles by the same date. Weapons that could fire as fast as a soldier could aim and squeeze the trigger. Each rifle contained innovations that German engineers had deemed too complex for mass production. A gas-operated action that functioned in temperatures from -40 to +60 degrees Celsius. A 10-round magazine that could be reloaded in seconds. And manufacturing tolerances that allowed dirty, damaged rifles to continue functioning when German precision weapons would jam. Soviet infantry tactics reflected this technological advantage. While German doctrine emphasized individual marksmanship and fire discipline, Red Army training manuals instructed soldiers to lay down suppressing fire that would allow their comrades to maneuver. The mathematics were simple. 10 semi-automatic rifles could deliver 100 aimed rounds per minute, while 10 bolt-action rifles managed only 40 rounds per minute under optimal conditions. The psychological impact proved equally significant. German soldiers who had dominated European battlefields through superior training and equipment suddenly faced enemies who could match their rate of fire with weapons that seemed immune to the harsh conditions that plagued German equipment. Captured Wehrmacht reports from late 1941 described Soviet automatic weapons with grudging respect and growing concern. But the true genius of the SVT-40 lay not in its technical specifications. Impressive though they were, the rifle succeeded because Soviet designers had solved the fundamental problem of modern warfare: how to give ordinary soldiers extraordinary capability. While German military tradition emphasized the individual warrior, Soviet doctrine recognized that future wars would be won by masses of adequately trained soldiers equipped with weapons that multiplied their effectiveness. The development of this revolutionary weapon began not in response to German aggression, but from Soviet observations of modern warfare's changing nature. Military theorists in Moscow had studied the Spanish Civil War, the Winter War with Finland, and early World War II campaigns with clinical precision. Their conclusions would forever reshape infantry combat. The revelation came from studying casualty reports that challenged every assumption about infantry effectiveness. Soviet military analysts discovered that in modern combat, the average engagement distance had dropped to under 200 meters, far closer than the 600-meter ranges that traditional military doctrine assumed. At these distances, the ability to deliver rapid follow-up shots mattered more than the theoretical accuracy of a single perfectly placed round. General Vasily Degtyaryov, chief designer at the Tula arms plant, had witnessed this transformation firsthand during the Soviet-Finnish Winter War of 1939. Finnish soldiers armed with semi-automatic rifles consistently outfought larger Soviet forces equipped with the standard Mosin-Nagant bolt-action rifle. The lesson was unmistakable. In the chaos of modern warfare, sustained fire beat precision shooting. The technical challenge seemed insurmountable. Semi-automatic rifles had existed since the early 1900s. But none had proven reliable enough for mass issue to conscript armies. The mechanisms were too delicate, too sensitive to dirt and cold, too complex for field maintenance by soldiers with minimal technical training. Previous attempts had failed catastrophically under combat conditions. Soviet engineers approached the problem differently. Instead of pursuing mechanical perfection, they designed for abuse. The SVT-40's gas system could function with fouled barrels that would jam other rifles. The bolt mechanism operated with tolerances that allowed sand, mud, and ice to pass through without stopping the action. Most revolutionary of all, the rifle could be completely field-stripped and reassembled by a conscript in under 3 minutes using only the tools attached to the weapon itself. The manufacturing process revealed Soviet industrial philosophy. While German armaments factories employed master craftsmen who individually fitted each component, Soviet plants used interchangeable parts produced by semi-skilled workers. A damaged SVT-40 could be repaired using components from any other rifle of the same model. This standardization would prove decisive when millions of weapons needed maintenance under combat conditions. Testing began in the summer of 1940 with results that astounded even the designers. prototype rifles fired 10,000 rounds without cleaning while maintaining acceptable accuracy. They functioned after being buried in mud for weeks, dropped from aircraft, and subjected to temperature cycles that would destroy conventional weapons. Most importantly, conscripts with only basic training could achieve hit rates of 60% at combat ranges compared to 35% with bolt-action rifles. The psychological warfare aspect emerged during early combat trials. German soldiers reported being pinned down by what they assumed were light machine guns, only to discover they were facing individual riflemen with semi-automatic weapons. The sustained fire created an impression of overwhelming enemy strength, often triggering German withdrawals from tactically advantageous positions. Production began in earnest during 1940, but the scale required revealed the true ambition of Soviet planning. Factory installations in Tula, Ijevsk, and Podolsk were retooled to manufacture components using American machinery purchased through intermediaries. The Soviets had studied American mass production techniques and applied them to weapons manufacturing with ruthless efficiency. By June 1941, when Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, Red Army units possessed something unprecedented in military history. Semi-automatic rifles issued to ordinary infantry in division-level quantities. German intelligence had detected these weapons but dismissed them as limited production items for elite units. The reality was far more threatening. The first significant engagement that demonstrated the SVT-40's impact occurred during the defense of Smolensk in July 1941. Wehrmacht infantry, accustomed to suppressing Soviet positions with concentrated rifle fire, discovered that their bolt-action weapons were outmatched by defenders who could return fire at a rate 3 times theirs. German after-action reports described Soviet riflemen who seemed to possess unlimited ammunition and supernatural shooting speed. Captain Friedrich von Mellenthin, serving with the 18th Panzer Division, wrote in his combat diary about encountering these weapons for the first time. His account reveals the psychological shock experienced by German forces who had dominated European battlefields through superior equipment and training, only to face enemies with technological advantages they had never encountered. The SVT-40 had accomplished something that German military planners believed impossible. It transformed millions of ordinary conscripts into soldiers who could deliver firepower previously reserved for elite marksmen. While Wehrmacht forces continued to rely on the precision of individually aimed shots, Red Army infantry unleashed torrents of semi-automatic fire that overwhelmed German defensive positions and shattered their tactical assumptions. By war's end, the lesson was undeniable. The age of the bolt-action rifle had passed, swept away by a Soviet weapon that proved firepower mattered more than precision, volume more than accuracy, and industrial production more than craftsmanship. German generals who had laughed at Soviet equipment in 1941 found themselves retreating before armies equipped with rifles that could fire as fast as their soldiers could think. The SVT-40 didn't just win battles on the Eastern Front. It revolutionized infantry warfare forever, proving that the future belonged to nations that could arm their soldiers with weapons that multiplied individual capability. In the end, the simple rifle that could fire 10 rounds to every German one had rewritten the rules of modern combat, one trigger pull at a time. The Wehrmacht's precision had met Soviet volume, and volume had won decisively. The Eastern Front was decided not by superior tactics or braver soldiers, but by a rifle that gave ordinary men extraordinary power.